strong.
Welcome back to Crypto for Freedom, where we talk about gaining financial freedom through the cryptocurrency markets. Today, we talk about Dogecoin and if Dogecoin is going to come up and make a new high this cycle. The previous high last cycle was around 74 cents right over here, and we have yet to come up and break that high this cycle. Now, if Dogecoin doesn't come up and make a new high this cycle, I'm going to be very surprised because from every cycle since 2014, Dogecoin has come up and make a new high, and that has been a trend that has not faltered yet. So I do expect Dogecoin to come up and make a new high this cycle because the trend is your friend until the end. And until that trend is broken, I'm going to assume that Dogecoin will in fact come up and make a new high this cycle and come up above 74 cents to see a parabolic move from where it's at now at 26 cents, doing roughly a 3x or possibly more. Now, I think Dogecoin can go a lot higher than that, so make sure to stick around to the end of the video to find out where I think Dogecoin is going this cycle. Now, let's jump into Bitcoin on the weekly chart. Bitcoin has been condensing in between this pattern here. It's a rising wedge, finding support on the bottom side and resistance on the top side. Now, Bitcoin has to make a decision very soon, in my opinion, because right now it's squeezing real tight at the end of this pattern, getting ready to break out. Now, is it going to break up to the upside, or are we going to see a breakdown to the downside? What do you guys think? Put your comments down below if you think we're going to break out of this rising wedge to the upside or the downside. Let me know in the comments down below, you guys. You know, if we take a look at the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin, we will see that roughly 549 days from the halving, which is this yellow bar right here, Bitcoin found a market cycle peak. It happened in the last cycle as well back over here, and we have been roughly 548 days from the halving, which could mean that, you know, this could be the peak for Bitcoin, but we haven't seen an altcoin season yet. We haven't seen Bitcoin dominance drop yet. And, you know, I don't know if this is a top for Bitcoin or not. It might be but it might not be because, you know, we've seen a lot of institutional adoption, a lot of game theory nation states getting into Bitcoin playing out right in front of our eyes, or behind the scenes rather, because most people are kind of blind and unaware of to what's going on with money and what's going on with cryptocurrencies, this life-changing asset. You know, if you're sleeping on, you're probably going to get left behind, so make sure to get yourself some Bitcoin and Dogecoin, you guys, and hodl for the long term, because we're in it for the long term here, you guys. Been in Bitcoin since February of 2021. Right here, we got in after the pump. You know, I didn't really think I was FOMOing in at the time. I just wanted to buy Bitcoin, although I did buy right there at the start of this bull market. And then I held my assets all the way down to the bottom of the bear market. And that's where I started buying Bitcoin again in this area to stack up my coins. And I also bought Dogecoin in that area, and I've been holding Dogecoin since that area. And after Bitcoin had this big jump up here, I traded a little bit more of my Bitcoin for Dogecoin. Now I've been holding that and kind of trading it and living off of it. But I think Bitcoin is the hardest, most scarce asset that the world has ever seen. You know, it's the only immutable money that the world's ever seen. It transcends space and time. Crypto assets are the only thing that allow you to be self-sovereign and hold your own money and be your own bank and not rely on the banks and be outside of the system and kind of give a big FU to the system. And that's what I'm all about here with cryptocurrency. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Come back to the channel and see some more. Now let's jump back into Dogecoin and figure out where we're going to go this cycle. And I have a few more thoughts on the 7-year cycle theory, you guys. You can see with the 7-year cycle theory over here, when Dogecoin dropped in 2013, that it immediately lost a lot of value against Bitcoin and then struggled to come up and make any sort of new meaningful high for 7 years, to be honest. And when it came up to make this first high right here, you can see Dogecoin finally broke out against the US dollar and made its first peak, and then it came back down and made a lower low as the Dogecoin US dollar dropped and found a higher low. And then once Dogecoin US dollar went up and found its final peak in in the beginning of 2018. That's when Dogecoin came up again and made another lower high against Bitcoin and continued to lose value against Bitcoin for the remaining of that 7-year period, all the way until the beginning of the 2021 bull run for Dogecoin, where Dogecoin went on an epic 29,000% move and outpaced Bitcoin by a wide margin, finally coming up to break a higher high against its Bitcoin pair, and then come into a new channel and make a new high there. And now Dogecoin is again now in this 7-year down period against Bitcoin, and you can see it came down to make a low, found that low, came up to make a lower high, and then continued to lose value against Bitcoin until it came up to this trend line again. And that's where we saw Dogecoin at this yellow line here. That's where we saw Dogecoin find a peak back in November of 2024 at the local high there. And I'm kind of predicting that Dogecoin may come up against Bitcoin to that trend line again before the end of the cycle, and allow Dogecoin USD to come up and have a blow off top and come up and make a higher high this cycle, and allow this trend to be your friend until the end to make a higher high. And if we don't end up seeing a higher high this cycle, the trend is broken, and we might have to end up waiting another. We might end up having to wait another 912 days before Dogecoin is able to break out of this 7-year downtrend against Bitcoin and come up and make a new high against Bitcoin in the 2029 cycle. Now, I do think Dogecoin could still come up and make a higher high this cycle. And let's go take a look at the Dogecoin chart to figure out where exactly I think Dogecoin is going to go this cycle. You can see here that Dogecoin consistently makes this symmetrical triangle pattern, and when it finally ends up breaking out of this pattern, it goes on a parabolic move. Now, the first move that happened in 2017, once it broke out of this downtrend, was a 8,000% move. The second move Dogecoin made after it broke out of the downtrend here in 2021 was a 14,000% move. So could we see an 8,000 to 10,000% move once we've broken out of this downtrend here and see Dogecoin come all the way up to $21? Probably not. And if we pull our Fibonacci tool, we can see that right now from the most recent low to the swing high, we can see that Dogecoin is bouncing off the 618 golden pocket retracement, and we could see, possibly coming up to the 0.618 at $1.54, or possibly even higher than that at the next 1.618 to $13. But I could see Dogecoin coming up to at least anywhere from $4 to $16 to make a new high this cycle, coming up to the 618 to $1.54, or coming up even higher than that to the 1.618 to complete the cycle to $13. I do think Dogecoin can go anywhere from $2 to $16 this cycle, depending on what kind of move we see for Bitcoin. I know that we've already seen a 700% move, a 7x from the bottom of the market in 2022. Now, are you guys still holding Dogecoin right now, or did you sell your bags? Are you expecting a higher pump, getting ready to take profits, or have you already taken profits and are getting ready to experience a 90% retracement for Dogecoin? I mean, I think we might even see diminishing losses for Bitcoin, so we could see diminishing losses for Dogecoin too. But I mean, I think we should expect to see at least a 70% pullback from whatever high we end up having. So if this was our local high over here in October of 2025 at 126,225, then we'd be expecting to see a $37,000 Bitcoin within a 1-year period of this time, and you'd be able to buy Bitcoin for a lot cheaper than it is now today. The problem I had was when I bought my Bitcoin, I didn't really look at this Dogecoin over Bitcoin chart, and I ended up buying at one of these peaks when Dogecoin had lost a lot of value against Bitcoin. And I'm worried that even if we come up and see a lower high against Bitcoin and then come down a year from now in October of 2026, and you think Bitcoin's at a low and you're ready to buy the low for Dogecoin as well, but really you need to buy Bitcoin in that moment because Dogecoin is going to be way down here at the bottom of this channel, and it's going to lose a lot of value against Bitcoin in the next cycle. That's when you load up on Bitcoin in that time and then wait until it drops all the way to the bottom of this channel in August of 2028. And then you'd be able to trade some of your Bitcoin for Dogecoin and experience the next altcoin season. But in my opinion, it's the most wise thing to do would be to stay in Bitcoin as this 7-year period plays out. Let everything just kind of wash out of the market in the next bear market, and really just hold your value in Bitcoin. I do believe in Dogecoin long term though, and you can hold that long term, but you just have to be ready for more volatility, and you just have to be prepared and know that Bitcoin will probably outperform your Dogecoin. But with that, you guys, if you like the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Leave all your thoughts below in the comments. If you think that Dogecoin is actually going to turn around and outperform Bitcoin, maybe come up to the top of this channel beforehand, or maybe we're breaking out and making a new high against Bitcoin. Who knows? Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. Or is Dogecoin just cooked for the rest of the cycle and we're going to go into a 1-year bear market? Everything's going to experience a 90% retracement and Bitcoin's going to go down 70%. Oh, and by the way, none of this is financial advice. And make sure to always do your own research. Never invest more you can afford to lose. Make sure to check out all of my playlists in the link in the description down below. And yeah, I guess we'll leave everything else for the next video, and we'll see you guys then. Peace.